For years, the Marfa lights hovering over Texas have perplexed locals and visitors till this day, and no one knows for sure why they appear. Are they extraterrestrial? Are they man-made? Are they something from another dimension? Or all of the above? Welcome to the Paranormal Post. I'm Clayton Morris. If you love true stories of the unexplained, then smash that like button. It really helps the channel. Please subscribe as well and turn on that little bell notification so you'll be notified when we publish a brand new video, which we do twice a week. If there's one thing that the people who have seen the Marfa lights in Texas agree upon, it's that they are worthy of every effort to describe them and figure out what in the heck they are. When the conditions are right, the lights mysteriously materialize like nightfall on the wind-blown, forsaken West Texas landscape. About 9 miles east of Marfa, yellow orbs like basketballs hover and twinkle, and at times they gyrate over the shrubby high desert ground in the shadows of the Chinati Mountains. Journalist Michael Hall wrote about seeing the Marfa lights in June 2006 in a story for the Texas Monthly. He says, quote, "They appeared in the darkness south of US 90 between Alpine and Marfa, a yellowish white light that glowed, faded, disappeared, and returned in different places. Sometimes they changed colors. Other times they split apart. I couldn't tell if they were 10 miles away or 100, the size of a car, or was it the size of a house? I didn't understand them, but I didn't care. I loved those lights," he says. Just about everyone in Marfa, and many who have visited, has a story like that of Kathleen Schaefer, who's an artist, a geographer, and author of the book Marfa, The Transformation of a West Texas Town. Now, she moved to Marfa in spring 2017 after visiting regularly since the year 2007. She says of her first Marfa lights experience, quote, "I went out with a local to an undisclosed location who assured me that I would see them. We leaned against my car as the day turned to dusk. Then, within a few minutes, the lights started. They really do dance around, playful-like, as if communicating in some primitive way. Though the lights can be seen from a distance, they tend to disappear if observers approach. It's like something that gets scared of human interaction. Many viewers record their experience. In fact, Marfa Light View Park actually encourages it. You go to this Marfa Light View Park, look out, and if you capture it, they want to know about it. The Marfa lights have been visible for generations, but what they are is where people tend to stop agreeing. Many concede they're just seeing an optical illusion, but even if that's the case, what's causing an optical illusion? Marfa, Texas is a small town with an outsized reputation. It was founded in the 1800s merely as a water stop. And during World War II, it served as a training hub for flyers at the Marfa Army Airfield. The airfield, in fact, is the private land where the lights appear. And World War II pilots flying overhead also reported seeing these lights. The town has, in the 20th and early 21st centuries, improbably evolved into a tourism and cultural hub and a center for minimalist and conceptual artists. Through the decades, Hollywood productions have used this town as a backdrop in movies. And then there are the Marfa lights. And according to oral history, Kathleen Schaefer says the lights were first sighted by rancher Robert Ellison as he drove cattle from Alpine to Marfa, Texas in 1883. She says he spotted the lights flickering at the base of Paisano Pass, and he thought they were fires from Apaches. However, the next day when he approached the site of where these fires would have been, there were no ashes, there were no remnants of a fire. Despite having written an autobiography later in life, Ellison never mentioned in print seeing these lights. Another account claims O.W. Williams, a lawyer and judge, told friends and family about the lights in the 1880s. The earliest written account of the lights, however, appeared in the San Angelo Times in 1945. And according to journalist Hall, the lights were also written about in a 1957 issue of Coronet magazine. Since then, though, the lights, which appear sporadically, have become a part of the Marfa lore. But what causes the lights? Let's start with the most romantic of speculation. Some believe it's the ghost of Apache chief Alaste, who allegedly haunts the area. Others claim it's space aliens trying to contact us, or the ghosts of Spanish conquistadors. Schaefer says that she's even heard speculation that someone simply ties flashlights to jackrabbits and sets them loose. No, jackrabbits have ever been found with flashlights, but some people speculate. Other causes of the lights veer away from ghosts and animals and into the more scientific. One possible explanation centers on how layers of air at different temperatures refract light. It's called fata morgana, basically a mirage. Marfa sits nearly 5 feet or about 1.5 meters above sea level and possesses the atmospheric temperature gradients between warm and cold to conceivably create this mirage. But in 2011, a group of scientists published a study in the Journal of Atmospheric and Solar Terrestrial Physics on the lights. After coming to a much simpler conclusion, they determined that the lights are actually car headlights on nearby US 67 that appear warped as they travel across the 20 miles or 32 kilometers of flat land. Of course, this is where the debate really heats up because rancher Ellison and Judge Williams in the late 1800s claimed to have seen the lights in the 1800s, which was long before an automobile began carving its path across American highways. But did they really see the lights? Because they didn't write it down. Local historian Lon Taylor in the Marfa newspaper, the Big Bend Sentinel, wrote, "Many people who think they're seeing the Marfa lights are undoubtedly looking at automobile headlights or ranch lights. But it's clear that they were out there. There's other lights there, and they were there before the automobiles or electricity in Big Bend. And they're still out there." Ultimately, it seems observers of the lights are at a crossroads in the barren Texas landscape. There are those who would just like to write them off as an illusion with a romantic twist. Schaefer, who believes the atmospheric conditions claim, says, "I think the lights are real, but I also think they're a real illusion," if that makes sense. She says, "I don't know that too many people agree on one explanation, but I think that most people in Marfa don't care what they are. There's no fun in knowing all of the answers. They just like knowing that those lights are out there." But as with anything unexplained, the fun is trying to figure out exactly what the mysterious Marfa lights are. The most widely accepted explanation may be that the lights seen from the viewing stations are actually headlights of vehicles traveling along US Highway 67, far off in the distance. But the bizarre bobbing and shifting patterns of the lights may also be the result of nighttime mirages caused by sharp temperature gradients. A 2004 on-site study by Society of Physics students at the University of Texas at Dallas came to that very conclusion after a series of tests over a 4-night period. All of the mysterious lights observed by this group on the nights of 11 and 13th of May 2005 can be reliably attributed to automobile headlights traveling along US 67 between Marfa and Presidio, Texas. The case seems closed, and the phenomenon is no more. But wait. While nearly everyone agrees that the majority of lights seen from the viewing station are likely caused by the cars, locals will add the true Marfa lights are not as common an occurrence. As one former Marfa native revealed, where US 67 is, and then if you pan to the left of it, it's devoid of any cars, it's devoid of any highways, cities, or towns. That's when you will get a real shot at seeing the Marfa lights, he said. Now, from that position, anything else that you see that moves up, down, left, right, changes color, splits or merges, or fades and reappears is a Marfa light, especially if you see multiple lights all at once. He says the real Marfa lights are not headlights. That much he knows. James Bunnell, a retired aerospace engineer who performed the most detailed investigative work into the phenomenon, Bunnell said that he grew up hearing about the lights as a child, revealing that well before the Society of Physics students study, his relatives had used surveying equipment to determine the car lights from US 67, and he said that's what most people were seeing. Some sightings, however, he says, were much harder to explain. A stop at the viewing station in the year 2000 changed his opinion of the lights 100% and for the rest of his life. He said, "We had an extraordinary couple of nights that were unexplained and definitely not car lights. This intrigued and motivated me to start looking into this phenomenon. It just got better and better from there. They are rare," he said, "but a very real, important physical phenomenon." As documented in his book Hunting Marfa Lights, Bunnell spent the next 8 years conducting field observations, interviews with locals, and collecting more than 100 photographs. He says, "As part of my research, I created 3 automated monitoring stations: the Rufus Station, the Snoopy Station, and the Albert Station, all with a total of 9 automated cameras that ran every night for years. Other people have pontificated and even written books about Marfa lights, but no one has investigated them the way that I have, or even come close," he said. So Bennell found that while a large majority of the lights could be explained as artificial sources, some 3% of them were not. There was something else entirely. In a 2012 paper, he theorized that the lights could be hydrogen plasma bubbles generated deep underground, either by an electromagnetic anomaly or else by hot magma. The bubbles then rise to the surface through fault zones where the chemical reaction with the oxygen generates this light. He's currently writing another book on the topic that will delve further into his theories beyond that phenomenon. When asked if ghostly lights happen anywhere else in the world, Bennell listed places like Hessdalen, the lights in Norway, the Min Min lights of Australia, the Brown Mountain lights in North Carolina, and many, many more. He said the one thing all of these locations have in common is a collision of tectonic plates. And he said therein lies a more important clue to be fully discussed in his next book, he said. Now, regardless of their source, the Marfa lights remain an intriguing mystery that offers a bit of magic in an otherwise barren Texas desert landscape. Whether they're car lights interacting with some atmospheric trickery or a geological quirk, those visiting the viewing station each night can likely attest that the wonder of it all is certainly worth the price of not knowing. You know, in a world filled with absolutes, it's satisfying to see nature still throwing us some nice riddles out there. What do you think they are? Have you seen them? Drop me a comment below and let me know. I love reading all of your comments here on the channel. And be sure to check out this next video right here that we just published. I think you're going to like it. We'll see you next time, everyone.